Interesting.
Hey.
Huh?
This is going to be good. Oh,
I want to see a Simpsons episode of WandaVision.
Oh,
animated one
that'd be nice.
That would be cool.
They got the rights now.
Right,
do.
dude, right?
They got the rights.
Disney cancel here.
Hey, when did Westview change to Springfield?
Could they keep something like that a secret? Like, do you think if they did an animated episode that they'd be able to keep it under
I
wraps?
bet that'd be easier to keep a secret than stuff you have
Much
straight
better,
footage
yeah.
of.
Just like the Mandalorian reveal. You know, if you're doing all CGI stuff, keep that in-house. 2-3 people know, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody looks the same from set photos and gray screens or gray suits and green screens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So enough of the preamble. We are not talking about an animated episode because it does not exist except in our wild imaginations. But we are here for the WandaVision Wecap, episode 5, week 4. Figure that one out. My God, this show's been on for a month already.
Would that be a weamble?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, that was a
That's the
weamble.
one.
And we do tend to amble. But no,
True.
so what was that? This was on a very special episode was the name of this week's episode. And I am very relieved to be able to refer to these as episodes once again, aside from that Mandalorian business of their chapters or whatever. So maybe they should be called issues. One thing I want to get out of the way before we dive in. The first episode of this Wecap show, I was so happy that this show existed because I thought it was a weird adaptation of that Vision comic book, and we all talked about the Tom King miniseries.
Yeah, sure.
But David, you held this collection up, I think, last week. There is a Wanda and Vision and Scarlet Witch collection that came out recently with the beautiful Alex Ross painted cover, which reprints a bunch of these stories from the 1980s. And I'm in the thick of reading these right now. And the more I read it, the more I think that might be the, maybe it's a mashup of those and the Tom King stories or something. But
which one is that again? I'd like to see that.
Let me grab
do you have it? Yeah.
Yeah, let me grab it.
Ian, did you also get the Avengers Disassembled issue?
No.
Saga,
I think you mentioned
That's a good
that,
one.
but I haven't.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll be next.
That's a good one to
Pull it up one more
grab
time.
after you get done reading the
There we go.
Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm about probably 5 issues left until I finish that, but yeah, it's some crazy imaginative stuff. I just finished the Halloween issue, which had nothing to do with well, maybe who knows? We're gonna get to Halloween possibly next week. But for this week, I'm sorry, go ahead, David.
To piggy off that, there's things that happen in this specific episode that are very similar to what John Byrne did in the Avengers West Coast or West Coast Avengers, especially with the kids and the kids not being under her control or not being able to calm them. That's that, and also what we see on these sword video screens is very, very much like Avengers West Coast.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to get into all of that, and we are going to talk spoilers in a little bit. We'll talk spoiler free for the first little while because we're going to have a full-on reveal for those who weren't able to join us before we went live. You missed it because I certainly got a surprise. We'll share a little bit of that with you later.
Right.
Huh? What's
Cameos
that?
abound.
Yes, cameos abound. So stay tuned for that. But I do want to kick this off by welcoming our guests tonight. I'm Ian Simmons of Kicking the Seat. We have Don Shanahan of Every Movie Has a Lesson and 25 Years Later. We have Emmanuel Noisette of E-Man's Movie Reviews. And we have David Fowley of Keeping It Real. I should say 1 day later, birthday boy David Fowley of Keeping It Real.
That's right.
Copyright
Happy
birthday
birthday
to you. So
Thank you.
How does it feel to be 21 years old, David?
I feel better than I looked.
No argument.
No comment. You are so beautiful to me. But all right, so E-Man, I'm going to leave this to you this week to give us the summation, the recap of episode 5.
Non-spoiler, right?
Yeah, can you do it?
Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot. Okay, so we're back now. We've time jumped, presumably to the Family Ties 80s era, and Wanda and Vision are dealing with some marital issues and a couple disagreements here and there. They are just like any other parent. They also have to raise their children, and we're seeing where that goes. And on the other side of things, Sword is gathering a little bit more information based off of the events of episode 3. And a lot of things are going to come to a very confrontational point. So I think that's the best I can do without going deeper.
That's good.
I'll leave it there.
That'll work. Well done.
Yeah, very very well done. It's a broad overview that gets to the heart of what this episode is about. First of all, second of all, I want to say for those joining us live here tonight, we do have the chat open. We have the lovely and talented Mark Krawcheck joining us once again of the Spoiler Room. So, and he wishes David a happy belated birthday as well. Thank
you,
Mark.
Mark.
And so, yeah, jump in the chat if you have any questions or comments or interjections, theories. We love the theories, and we will discuss them here tonight. Please drop them in. Just as a format note, we are going to talk spoiler-free for the next just couple minutes, and then we're going to dive right in because there is a lot to talk about. The first thing I wanted to mention is something very interesting happens at the beginning of this show, because last week was pretty much an episode. I think it was we interrupt this program, and that was the first one to take place outside the world of Westview, the sitcom world, and focus on what's going on with Sword and Monica Rambeau. We're back into the sitcom realm, but unlike the previous installments, things go wrong right off the bat. It used to be we'd have almost a full episode of this mock sitcom, and then you'd start noticing weird things like the reality would break. Here, it happens at the beginning of the episode and then continues to deteriorate. This is the least sitcom motif I think that we've had. The laugh track is barely
other
in
than
the episode.
Last episode, which was all Sword.
Right, but I'm saying, like, of the sitcom aesthetic episodes, this one, you get the look of it, but there's almost nothing going on that indicates that we're just watching a parody of a sitcom. I thought that was very interesting. What did you guys make of this episode in terms of the aesthetics and where it went with the characters? Because we're going to some strange places here.
Well, it makes sense considering last episode. I mean, you can't just have we interrupt this broadcast and have this kind of Monica Rambeau centric episode introducing Jimmy and everything, or reintroducing him, and then not follow up with them. So I thought it was very smart to kind of have a little bit of a back and forth between, I guess, what we could call present day and the what's going on in the Hex. This is the first episode to actually name it Hex instead of Shimmer and Dome, so whatever. It's a Hex.
It'll always be a Shimmer.
It'll always be a Shimmer. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of firsts in here. Ian, you mentioned this is the first one where we actually go back and forth, the sitcom, the real world. But this is there's a lot of firsts, and we'll get into spoilers here. This episode's huge as far as, Marvel using their money, let's just say. Right. But we'll get to that. But I thought that this was it's a great, the sitcom stuff is a great amalgam of Growing Pains, Family Ties, and Full House. And you see that all in the clever opening theme song for the show. It's very much has a similar opening to all three of those shows, because you have the painting that's very, very much Family Ties, and then you have the younger pictures of the characters, which is very much Growing Pains, and then you have, like, I think all of them running in the park, which I think is Full House. I never was a fan of Full House. I never watched Full House, but I'm pretty sure that was the kind of like the intro to the theme song. But I have to say, credit to those people out there that Marvel hires to write these theme songs. I mean, they're very clever. And you had one for the Dick Van Dyke era. You had one for the, 60s, whatever, 60s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. But the first line of this was, something like "You wander the world with a vision."
Yeah,
and
they're slick.
you wander the world with a vision of the way you would want the world to be.
Or I took my notes where they said, "We're making it up because we got love," and like making it up.
Hello,
nice, you know.
but like you wander with the world with a vision. I mean, it's just there's so many things. That's very kudos to the songwriters.
Yeah, and also to the to those openings, because it's the complete package. You get the feeling this could be a show. I was sort of humming the theme song even after we were into the episode, which was kind of fun. Let's see. As far as Agnes,
yeah,
interesting.
The neighbor.
This was a good one for her. Yeah,
interesting development.
It was, and she's sort of the indication right off the bat that things are going wrong, because we meet Wanda and Vision. The kids will not stop crying. Wanda tries using spells on them, but that doesn't work at all. Vision is getting kind of upset when Agnes shows up, and there's sort of a, maybe she can help, but maybe Vision can help. And then I almost didn't, maybe you guys were paying a bit more attention, because I feel like I missed something like, what was the triggering word or phrase that got Vision and Wanda to kind of go off into a corner?
Oh, well, I think wasn't it Vision the first time when she enters? Wasn't it Vision saying it was almost a COVID response? He was like, "Have you washed your hands? Have you?"
The prospect of her watching the children.
Yeah. No, maybe not. And then
first parent jitters.
Yeah, all of a sudden it was like a record drop. Not a mic drop, but a record. Yeah. What do you call it? What do you call those things? Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, he broke the
scratch.
Script.
Yeah, record scratch.
He broke the script. He didn't. He wasn't going along with the script, and it was. I just thought it was funny how Agnes was kind of like, "Do we pick it up from the top?" Like, like she was talking to the director. And
like she's either in on it or she's got more pull than just being an innocent bystander, especially when compared to Vision's coworker who's completely trapped,
which is another inconsistency that I'm waiting to see how they flesh that out. Because when it comes to Agnes, I'm comparing a lot of different things, like what happened with Norm later on, where some people are asleep, and then you also have other people like Herb, and Agnes, who are like, "Yeah, did you hear about Monica?" And this, and it's like, wait, are you guys asleep, or are you active participants in this? And the fact that Agnes was like, "Well, do we take it from the top?" and stuff like that. I was sitting here thinking like, well, there's two motivations there that have to be the case. One is you're terrified, and you want to do whatever the director wants, and you want to keep this going, right? So you can keep your job or your life. And the second one is you want this to keep going. You have that motivation of like, should we start over? Because I really want this to work for you, I do think it's the latter, but it does raise an even bigger question of why. Well, like what's Agnes's actual goal? If that were the case, I have my own theory on that, but that's another video.
And in the past, she was the one who wanted. She was the one who encouraged her to have kids. So
she did it here too. Yeah. She did it here too. First episode, like, hey, you're married. Oh, here are kids. Like, what do you do? So like that's still happening. But again, and David, correct me here. Like the motivation in the comics was a little bit different, I think, because I'm not a believer of the Mephisto angle. I think Mephisto at this point is only for Easter egg references. I did hear the interesting fact about Disney and their issues with China, and the fact that China, they don't like ghosts, they don't like demons. And you're talking about the guy that's the personification of the devil. That might not sell very well. So I don't know if they're actually going to go full Mephisto route. Not to say they're abandoning it. They might, make him some other person or whatever. But I get the feeling that this is more Agnes and Wanda, different motivations. And there's a little bit of push and pull going on between the two of them.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's where Mark's coming in with that extra she.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And as far as the China concern, I wonder if they could get around that by, not necessarily like a demonic force, but it's sort of like what they did with all the Asgardians. They're aliens. They're not really gods.
That's what they did in the comics. That's what they did with Mephisto, because they were like, we didn't want them to be like they didn't want to borrow too much from just one religion. So they, to get around what I forget what the standards were. There were these comic book standards back in the day,
right.
That parents were like, if we need our kids to make sure they adhere to these things. So he was just a being from a different dimension. And then once those comic book standards went out the door and comics started getting darker, then they were like, nope, he's a devil.
Yep.
And, matter of fact, he's all of the above. He's everything. So,
right.
Yeah.
I do want to take just a quick. Oh no! Wait a second. There's.
What is that?
Coworker
Don
Bill
Stanahans are in the house. Nice. All right. Bill Methlin. I was just about to get.
Does that mean Don is Stan Lee in this episode?
I brought fans, guys.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Cool.
Hey.
The Shanna fans. Or the Fanahans. No, that sounds weird. I did want to. I actually was just about to shout out someone who else is in the chat. Joe Jordan, who is the author of a great book called Robert Wise: The Motion Pictures. We just did an interview last week, and you can check that out on this channel. Also, I'm glad you've popped in, but unfortunately, it's on the same day that we lost the star of one of Robert Wise's most known films. Christopher Plummer, star of The Sound of Music, passed away today. So put that in a time capsule. We're going to elevate the mood. We celebrate the actor and all of his achievements.
Who will replace Kevin Spacey now?
Nice. Here's a question. Is Christopher... Yeah. He was a true legend. Now, I want to verify this. Was he the last actor in Hollywood to not have been in a Marvel movie? Because whenever a celebrity passes away, I always think of for some reason, it's just in my head. I'm like, oh, what Marvel movie was that person in?
No, I
don't think he was in one.
I don't think he's. I don't think that was on his bucket list.
No.
Yeah. I will recommend. Just a side note, I will recommend This made me think of this movie from 1995. It's a Stephen King adaptation that he's in. That it was great. It's called Dolores Claiborne. So go check that out. Kathy Bates, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yeah, good stuff.
Speaking of Stephen King,
never saw the movie. I just remember Christopher Plummer yelling, "Because she's done it before." All right, Stephen King twist. Don, go.
No. I also enjoyed in this episode, without getting spoilery already, is the apparent semi schism that's possible in Sword between Director Hayward and where Monica's coming, where you definitely have two different mindsets and you have two different perspectives of what this is all about. And they dropped the terrorism word, which was a very interesting play. I'm not surprised that came out because of the way, government gonna govern, we got to have that kind of antagonist in this kind of world. But at the same time, you are definitely thrust with this idea of, well, who's going to be right and who's going to be wrong here? And you can tell Jimmy's kind of playing the middle, which is cool. And you can tell Darcy's just being Darcy. But this Monica versus Hayward thing is going to be interesting as it goes on, too, because you could tell the agendas are completely on different pages, despite the backing that both have from different places.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's something that
I like
confused.
It's a good conflict here.
This is as cut and dry as it can be. Hayward is right.
Yeah, I mean, he could. I could see
right.
his point.
I mean, I'm just saying, he's literally right. Monica said that, man, felt like I was drowning and, like I was being tortured and stuff. Yeah. You're holding a town hostage against their will. You're a terrorist. There's no other definition about that. And what's the counter from Monica? She's in her feelings.
Yeah.
She's in her feelings. That's your counter?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Wanda, like to defend Wanda. Well,
Yeah.
she's feeling emotional. That is a terrible defense.
Or she's an
Just
Avenger.
saying.
She's a good guy. What could she possibly do that's bad?
Yeah, but it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately, right? And what you've done for me lately is you've taken a whole town hostage, and you've wiped their minds.
Yeah.
Talk about a violation that is not even on the record books. Like, what law is that? You know, like that's.
But
gosh,
in this episode, though, E-Man, he used the word that you had mentioned that we probably a couple episodes ago, the G word, grief. And this all derives because what she felt when she was feeling pressured and weighed down, she was feeling lost, she was feeling grief. Well, there we go.
And she's projecting that on everyone else.
Yep. And this is why Wanda created this world, and obviously we see some spoilerific footage that gives us an idea of how this world was formed in a way. But that this is all due to grief, and she even stops her kid after the loss of a family member in this episode. It's like, these feelings, you want to run, the feeling of wanting to run away from these feelings are powerful, so it's like, okay.
I'm with you, Joe, in the chat. The possibility is distinctly there that this is Wanda being messed with, it just to what degree. I would not be surprised. I'm at this point halfway through the series here that I feel like it can go either way, that this is all her or this is a grander scheme of a bigger thing.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to
a little bit of both.
I doubt they're going to end up with her totally the villain.
No, I agree.
Here's the thing. I feel like we're dancing around stuff here. So we're going to jump. Yeah. This is your warning. Again, for whatever reason you're here, if you haven't seen WandaVision episode 5, leave, come back, So we're just going to do it.
Who's doing this to you, Wanda?
Right.
That's a great spoiler alarm. Okay, so we're going to jump right into spoilers now. Don is disappearing for some reason. Where did he go?
I don't know. I'll be right back. Just I got to make a quick run for something, okay?
Rum for something. Mark, let's go to Mark's comment about Captain Marvel. Should we pull that up?
Yeah, the reason that there's a lag. Okay, there it is.
There we go.
I think she found this place and decided to use it to her advantage, and whoever actually created the place is controlling her. Oh, wow! Oh, and somehow we lost E-Man.
we lost Don too.
Okay.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know how to look fast on YouTube. Sorry, guys. Okay.
Oh well. Okay, so
hopefully E-Man will come back.
Yeah, no kidding.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
No, I think what happened was he realized what was about to happen.
Yeah, he's like, I can't be part of this crap no more.
I got a cred.
Watch him come back as Aaron Johnson. That would be
got a reputation.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
maybe. Let's see.
Is he? There he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had to
somebody reset reality, so it was just weird.
Okay.
I was saying a little too much, so
Don's been recast.
I've been recast.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So here's a comment that Mark had left that I breezed over, so he posted again. What was with Monica's reaction to the mention
of
Captain?
I want to hear this. Yeah,
I got a thought on that. I mean, I think she might be blaming.
Nope.
Am I skipping?
No,
you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
I think she has got some animosity towards Captain Marvel. Yeah. Because keep in mind, she was looking up to her. She loved her, all that good stuff. I think that there's a little bit of resentment there. Like, you left, mom died. Where were you?
Yeah.
So I think there's some connection there. But we'll get there later, I guess.
And clearly, her mom had some kind of, maybe not clearly. Maybe she just used the photon name. But do you think her mom had? I don't think her mom had any powers. It's Monica. It's Monica.
No.
Monica's
that was the same way Carol Danvers had Avenger.
Yeah.
Just a call tag. Yeah.
I think it's the animosity for sure, because Captain Marvel flew the coop and was doing whatever she was doing off world, and that's what we get. My other question that's in the same Monica department, and I'm going to go to E-Man because he's the master of our theories in the house here. When she goes, "Hey, I think I know an astrophysicist or something," and gets her phone out. Who?
Don't say Reed.
I don't have any idea.
No idea, huh?
No idea who
No,
she could be talking about. I
Hold
don't.
on. That's such a stretch of an idea of a theory.
I don't. Man, I don't know.
I have a hard time believing that that's how they would introduce. Reed.
Hold on.
I appreciate
Here we go. I love it.
It's very subtle.
I have
subtle.
I have a hard time believing that's how they would introduce Reed, but
I would be very okay.
Look, actually, it could be Sue also.
Well, look,
you know, maybe maybe they make Sue an engineer.
Yeah.
Given what we've seen in the last scene of this episode, again, major spoilers here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw freaking Wolverine showing up next week as like the new babysitter.
Why not? If Hugh Jackman walks on set,
oh my god,
I'm throwing the TV away. That's it. Can't do this no more.
But the door is open. The Fox door
at
is
this
open.
point.
It's amazing.
Well, and I was surprised. This episode got me on kind of a double whammy because there is a lot of talk about Pietro throughout this episode. He's mentioned, a couple of times here and there, but in this episode, they're really pushing it. And so I was expecting to see Aaron Taylor Johnson show up, especially because isn't there, I think there's a photo, right? Do they show a photo of from Age of Ultron with the two of them like in the street? And so when Quicksilver, spoiler, shows up at the end, it's Evan Peters. And that lovely line from Kat Dennings, Darcy, did they recast Quicksilver?
I love the meta commentary, by the way. Like the fact that they were like, she could have beat Thanos by herself. Well, actually, Captain Marvel, she could have done it too. I'm sitting there like, are you guys mocking us? Because these are our conversations.
Right.
Did you guys get a copy of Endgame? Like within the MCU? What kind of fourth wall?
Here, I want to clear something up here for and with Mark. So Quicksilver tried to get into Westview and then Westworld. Westview changes him into Pietro. Now, here's the thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's happened before, oddly. Quicksilver in both the Age of Ultron and then in the X-Men movies, because those were different, those were Disney and Fox properties, they are in fact the same person. It's just that they, were owned by different people, so they couldn't portray them in the same way, and they even had kind of different origins.
Multiverse.
Yeah. And he's one of the few Marvel characters that showed up for quite a while. He was on mainly on the Avengers, but he was introduced in the X-Men along with Scarlet Witch, but they shared a lot of time in each comic. So it makes sense that Fox could use him in the X-Men movies.
Yeah, I just looked at it as this is the perfect cherry picking.
Perfect way.
Because if anything, and according to my last video, I was saying the most intriguing thing that a lot of people have just kind of let pass, I guess, or just went over their heads, was what happened with the beekeeper and the jump rope.
Yes.
You notice that whatever goes in, you get transformed, but what comes out stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that is huge, which means the possibilities are ridiculous. If Wanda creates something in this realm and they happen to walk out, they're here. So this Quicksilver could just walk out of the hex for whatever reason, and boom, he's Quicksilver again.
She could create a father that has the master of magnetism about
She
him,
can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She can do whatever.
Yeah.
Those twins, they have an easy way of becoming young Avengers now.
So guys, I have a question about Monica looking at the outfit that she pushed out of the hex. A light bulb goes off, and the three of them, Jimmy, Darcy, and her, they check out the 70s outfit that she got pushed out of the dome. Kevlar this, Kevlar that. It's basically a protective wardrobe, let's say. But what do you think that to me, out of the whole episode, that just seems like it's kind of like veering off into something that isn't really, it doesn't pan out in this episode. Maybe it'll play out later, I'm like, wait, are they going to use this material for her super suit or what? You know, I mean,
No. It has nothing to do with that. I think
it's
it has
what
more.
E-Man's saying of what
Yeah, I
goes
think
in
it has
and goes
more
out.
to do of what goes in, what goes out.
Yeah.
But to your specific point, that also goes to what Monica said earlier, which was, which is weird because she was saying at first that that Wanda is not creating things out of nothing. That's not true. She does. She made her wedding rings out of nothing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things that go into the reality or into the hex, now that we have a name for it, she's rewriting, whatever's going on.
Rewriting
so
reality.
What ended up happening was she took that, she had a Kevlar vest on, and it kind of got rewritten and meshed into her clothing. And I believe that the reason why they did that was really to be a future setup for an explanation of how she gets her powers later on.
Yeah.
Because when she gets out, when she gets, that first class ticket out, she still has some of
the aura,
some of the energy. And she goes through that barrier.
Yeah.
And that probably rewrote her DNA. So that nice little X-ray wasn't an error.
And it's kind of consistent too, because like whatever the drone she took out and confronted Hayward with still had a little glow on it, just to say, hey, anything that's coming out here is coming out with some of me.
But that one didn't need to be changed because it came from the 80s,
right?
As well. But yeah, I mean, she clearly took that thing apart herself.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Here's the question right here, though,
Mark. Yeah, that corpse of vision
has been rewritten.
Yeah. The corpse of vision that he refers to is what I was referring to in the John Burns Avengers West Coast.
You think he's still dead?
Oh yeah,
me too.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm staying on that.
Well,
I'm saying that's not Vision. I don't believe that.
I agree.
So that may just be her projection of Vision that she's created for this reality, but because of all this outside world intrusion causing these problems into her perfect utopia.
I am more under the impression of like that conversation Monica had with Hayward.
Of Vision starting saying no, it's really
oh, we're tripping up here.
No, I'm sorry, we're back. Yeah,
okay.
It's glitchy stream.
No,
tonight.
finish your thought, Ian.
Okay.
Hey,
I was just commenting that it glitched. Yeah, so Monica's rewind Quicksilver. No, Monica's conversation with Hayward is what you were. That was last I heard. Amen.
Oh yeah, so I was just saying that going back to that, Monica made a quick quip to Hayward in regards to the change and the direction of Sword, where he was like, yeah, now we're sentient weapon, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, but not creation, right? And I think in that sense, I think that they were trying to recreate Visions. Like maybe, a bunch of them. Some people talk about potential Sentinels, maybe from the X-Men. But it was just kind of awkward to me that Wanda was able to just so easily walk in the Sword. I get it. She has powers and stuff.
Sure.
But if location was so top secret,
how did she find out?
How did she find out about it?
Yeah.
But I'm just sitting here wondering, I'm like, how do you know that what you grabbed was actually Vision?
And then the other thing with like the wishes, like the idea that Vision had a will and it was all very tied to Sword. And
that's a very Synthesoid thing to do.
It seemed like just such a
he wrote it in the cloud. That's all. It was uploaded to the cloud.
I got you.
What did you guys think of that?
Okay, so
oh, sorry.
No, think of what?
What did you guys think of? What did you guys think of that scene in Vision's workplace with the email and everything, and the whole coworkers reciting the email?
I want to, and I know this might be a lost endeavor. I want to go transcribe that binary code. I'm sure someone on Reddit or whoever has done it, but I really want to go transcribe that code. I haven't done binary in a long time, so I need to, But I want to see.
It was
what,
one time
what
in college. Sorry.
So it's funny.
He's married now.
It's funny that it was an analysis from Darcy that came through. That would kind of be the one thing that they were all listening to and reading up on. Yeah,
I'm with you, Mark.
they were trying to make a weapon. Yeah,
See,
you don't keep that corpse around,
and that's
in a
what
place
I'm saying.
like that.
You're not gonna sit here like
with it.
They probably were like, okay, we technically by the law can't mess with Vision, but nothing says we can't copy him.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think Jimmy meant when he said that goes against the Sokovian Accords?
What does?
He said something
work on Vision?
In response to Hayward.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I don't think they're able to do anything to Vision's body, but I don't think that gives them, they can't just be like, okay, let's reverse engineer this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the dude was already dead from Infinity War.
I thought he was referring.
Yeah.
I thought that line about the Sokovia Accords was a reference to Wanda breaking into the Sword headquarters. Like she's not supposed to be active on American soil or something like that.
That could be.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And as far as how she found that facility, I mean, part of her, at least in the comics, her hex powers allow her to change probabilities kind of things. Maybe I'm going to find this super secret location. I'll just do some of this and now I know where it is. I don't know.
Well,
speculation.
When we saw the Sword headquarters at the beginning of episode 4, it ain't exactly a discrete location.
No.
Big facility,
Yeah.
It's really now here's I want to talk about this because I need what? So good.
I was gonna say, Joe, there's one thing I picked up on Joe's comment too. That's what I was thinking too. Is that Mr. Hart, he wasn't even showing up in the office, and probably because that actor was only contracted for one episode or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
I didn't really think about that. Damn. Well, that begs the question: is Mr. Hart important, or is he not important, or are we made to think that he's not important and he'll become very important? Oh,
just new management.
Okay, so something I need your help with.
Okay.
Wanda walks out of the dome and into the real, I guess, the outskirts of Westview to confront Sword with this wonderful scene of all the grunts with their green laser sights focused on her. She throws the drone at their feet.
She had an accent.
Yes, she did.
I was going to say, I swear she had an accent. It's very, very subtle, but I don't know if that's because she hasn't had an accent, I don't think, since Age of Ultron. So what is she doing here? Is she regressing to Age of Ultron?
Only when she gets ticked off.
After that, like
I was going to say, it's only coming from someone with immigrant parents. When you get agitated, your accent comes out.
The mean Italian mama. We've seen this movie.
Easy.
Yep.
But then again, like she's also kind of like, I don't want to say a slave, but she has to adhere to the rules of the hex too. Hence why her clothing changes. But she is the exception. She's clearly the exception because she goes back to her normal clothes, her Avengers Endgame clothes, rather than coming out in her 80s gear like other people would.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome, right?
Lambast them with her little waist suit,
Yeah, but but that to me is yet another indication that she's in control. Like certain things don't apply to her. And if you notice, when she left, she closed the door on the hex. She changed it to be red or whatever, which I'm assuming is like an extra secure. I don't know if ADT has like hex, protection now.
Yeah. She hexed the hex.
She hexed the hex. That second coating, that's going to be kind of hard to get through.
Put a new sheen on it.
Yeah, I mean, you saw in the one of the sneak peek trailers, they had some big tank and they're trying to ram it in. I don't think people can get in anymore now because of whatever this red coating is.
But they can get out.
Yeah, but now, the mere fact that she was able to open this door, walk in, walk out, close the door, you own the house. This is you.
She said, "This is my home."
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what, like, when people question, is she in control? She's in control. There might be other factors working here, but she has a considerable amount of ownership here.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, that might have just been almost like a Sentinel version of an aspect of her personality because she walks out. She is very much in control. She's wearing the same clothes since when we last saw her, but that might not be the core Wanda that is going through whatever is going on inside the hex. The real troubled, psychologically messed up Wanda might be in there, and this is just the kind of bodyguard to say, look, cut it out. This isn't cute anymore.
Sure.
One question I wanted to get back to with Monica Rambeau is something I had wondered last week, which is the idea of the supporting characters sort of popping alive, popping awake when they are called upon to be in a scene, and then not really having a reality when they're kind of off camera. How does that apply somehow to Monica's wardrobe? Because if all of her outfits, or if the main outfit she got kicked back out was like this Kevlar, this transformed Kevlar, she went in wearing a vest, she came out the other inside the hex wearing this, these clothes, it would stand to reason that because we saw her in those earlier episodes, even the black and white ones, different outfit, but it's still the same. So is she like changing clothes? Is she even conscious that her wardrobe is updating? None of these people seem to be aware that they're changing eras. They just seem to pop into these sitcoms.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of
I'm just wondering how much is she aware of what's going on?
That's part of the players. And I think she's very aware of what's going on, because if she says, okay, now, we're going into the 60s, I think the whole world that she's controlling is under the 60s, 70s. And it could be, these could be her, she grew up in Sokovia, but, she and Pietro could have watched American television growing up.
Yeah.
Totally. So she could have been heavily influenced by that. So I think, maybe to answer your question, it's like, I think she has enough power and the ability to just make sure everything is transferring over to the next decade, like, everybody else.
I mean, she can rewrite reality. So that's like the physical stuff. But then she also can alter your mind. She can put suggestions into you. So that's also, two different things that are happening.
The Lagos commercial was good. Yeah.
It was good.
It was, especially, the spilled Hawaiian punch or whatever, and just mopping it up. It's clearly all of this blood that is just everywhere. And it got me to thinking about some of the earlier commercials we saw with the Hydra mentions. Now, I think those were sort of red herrings to make audiences, especially earlier audiences, think, oh, maybe Hydra is controlling Wanda. But now I'm just wondering if these projections are just her subconscious, like remembering all of this stuff that has gone into the trauma that's been in her life, being a captive of Hydra, the Lagos incident, all of that other stuff. There's a couple other commercials I have to go and see, but that's that toaster, toaster. There's a reference because that was Stark Industries. They were talking about how that could have been the bomb that was like right next to them, because they were Wanda and Pietro were like trapped for like 2 days or something like that. Right. And there was like a Stark bomb, and they were like, we were just waiting for this thing to go off. Right. We were waiting for Stark to help or something. So like that was kind of like the whole toaster, and I think the soap thing, I saw some video talk about it. The soap thing was an Agent Coulson reference, because he had this theory, and this is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whole different reality, whatever. But he had this thing where he was like, no, Hydra, they're making soap, and the soap is going to control your mind, and it's going to change how we behave. And this was just kind of like a callback to that wild theory. Actually, it could have been real.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. So that's one of those like super, super deep references for them. But that's
what we show up for.
Yeah. Yeah. But this one is a more direct correlation of like Lagos. Now we talking about Civil War when he killed a lot of people.
Yeah. And it is interesting because, this is the Lagos paper towel reference isn't the first time this episode mentions Lagos. We see Hayward mention the travesty in Lagos and in Germany. And basically we're looking at Wanda's, basically unintentional messes, right? And so the commercial is about cleaning up messes. And so it's interesting because this episode is starting to get, WandaVision is starting to get messy with this episode, right? Because Wanda comes out, she's really kind of found out, and things are starting to get real, and even that thing with Norm, the coworker, really hit home for Vision, because he goes back and says, I spoke with Norm, and this person is real. He can't get a hold of his family because you're controlling
and props to Paul Bettany for taking it up a notch this episode of making us wonder how much is, where's that consciousness at for Vision or even just for the character, and like the cracks are coming out, and it's really fascinating.
And he was freaking out. I don't remember anything,
Right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I gotta send props to Elizabeth Olsen. This was her best episode yet. Like,
Agreed.
I think she's got more to come.
Oh, I know.
I think she's got more to come.
But this episode where she starts to show her frazzle and her cracks, and then her toughness, and not just like the puppy and the parenting scenes, but like just the way she'll confront Agnes, and just every little place where she has to kind of go high, go low, go high, go low, and still play the sitcom part, but then still play the badass part. Elizabeth nailed it this episode.
Yeah,
She's the best I've seen her yet.
Yeah, I agree. Especially interacting with the kids. I think there's a little bit of a fear of losing control, just as many parents have a fear of losing control of their kids, and how eventually their kids are hard to control, as Agnes said. And there's a lot of things about time throughout the show, but also control, especially since Wanda is supposedly in control. We don't know how much, but you think that raising kids, you have a certain amount of control, and as parents you realize, well, I don't have that much control, because they're going to be their own beings.
Mark brought up a good point.
She's not controlling the twins' growth, someone else is setting up situations to force them to grow up, then turn them against Wanda for lying to them. I think that's a really interesting idea, but what I want to know is, could the twins, because she's created those out of whole cloth, could this be her way of experimenting with the reality that she's created for herself as sort of a test drive to bring Vision back from the dead for real? I don't know.
Good question.
I think, first of all, I think the twins are real, because
sure, I'm not doubting that they're real. I'm just wondering if they are the objective.
I'm saying, like, even within this reality, her and Vision got it on in episode 2, so it's not like they came out of nowhere. But as far as that concept of like someone controlling the twins, I think the fact that they could look at each other and be like, "You want to grow up? Sure, let's grow up." I feel like there's a connection there, and where my mind is going is this all started not only with the contractions, right? When the contractions started happening, Wanda's powers were going out of whack. Some people, and I'm a little aligned with this theory too, is that this was Wiccan. Wiccan, I forget if that was Tommy or Billy, but Wiccan has similar powers to Wanda. And when the stork came about, the stork, the powers didn't work on the stork. The twins, the powers don't work on the twins. And I think it's basically a comic trope within Marvel. And I think they've shown this in the movies too, which is basically like mutants of like the same family. Powers don't work on each other,
right? Like
Havoc and Cyclops. They can blast each other, and they're like, whatever. I think that's kind of what is being implied here with the magic just not working, because we do see the twins have some level of autonomy by growing themselves up at their own will when they want to, not inadvertently.
And the thing is, the children are a creation, like you said, of her and Vision. They're not solely a creation of Wanda. And they're probably the only...
Well, but we don't know that, because this... But if Vision is dead, and if Wanda is resurrecting him within this reality that she's constructing, then it could be said that anything that Vision would help to make is ultimately Wanda's. It's kind of like a theist idea of God made man made machines, but the machines ultimately were made by God.
So she put a corpse back together and had sex with it, guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. I don't want to.
Some people are into weird stuff.
I don't want to play the school teacher in the room, but Vision doesn't have sperm, guys.
And you're concerned with China's sensitivities?
Yeah, I think.
But
no.
I mean, the thing is,
I think these kids will be made real when they leave the hex.
Right, sure. I think that too. But I think
because they're not real.
To Ian's point,
kind of.
Everything that happens here, it doesn't matter how it came in.
Yeah.
But once you're in this realm, it's as real as Wanda wants it to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
Now, what the specifics are,
Necromancy.
magic. Magic. I don't know. That's your explanation. You know?
Yeah. Now let's see. Joe is still trying to determine about Westview's children. That's and that's something that
That was a
I
good
hadn't
question
really,
by Vision too.
I hadn't picked up on that until they mentioned. I'm like, oh my god, this is so creepy. It's a town full of adults. Where are the kids?
And they talked about that too. What was it with Dottie and them? Like, oh, we're doing this for the kids. And, where are the kids at though?
I would check the surrounding towns' missing children reports, because I believe that I was thinking about this when Vision said that line. I'm like, well, maybe she just outed all the children,
or they're trapped inside somewhere asleep.
Yeah, and they're wandering. They're wandering outside the dome, kind of missing.
They're in a gymnasium having a slumber party.
Yeah.
So it's like a protective maneuver. She sent them to a safe place. That's a really interesting idea. Hold that, put a pin in that theory. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the bathroom?
All right.
When it came to that though, like when Vision was like, "Where are the kids?" and stuff, I just kind of defaulted back to that whole thing of like, if she is in control, and if she is constructing all of this stuff, there's only so much you can do when you're creating a story.
That's what she said.
That's just a story detail that doesn't make sense. It's kind of like if I'm making a movie and people are underwater and they're talking and I'm like, wait, oh man, I forgot you can't talk underwater. I forgot to explain that to the audience.
Well, that's what she said when she was sitting on the couch. She's like, do you honestly believe that I could be in control of what everybody is doing in this town, getting to dental appointments on time and all this stuff?
I get it now. This is a Christopher Nolan show. I get it. I get it. Okay.
Details.
Say no more.
At least the sound mixing's better here.
We have no shit.
Yeah.
It's Christopher Nolan's Conception instead of Inception.
Yeah.
So before we go, because we're a little bit over. It's the ghost in that shell. Before we go, because we're running a little bit over. Sorry, thanks, Mark. We are going to talk about that recasting a bit more than we did before. So I was honestly wondering if they were going to leave that as a cliffhanger, because we get to see the doorbell. Wanda goes over, opens up. We see the surprise reaction. Then we cut to the lab, and Darcy is like, "Oh my god!" But we do see who it is. It's Evan Peters as Quicksilver, and he comes in. He's got like this really weird, kind of a funny guy accent, and he's gonna be like the weird uncle, I guess. Yeah,
like a New York accent,
Joey,
or Boston.
Very Joey.
So how does Quicksilver play into this, do you think?
That's a great question.
Or how does he play into it? But how long does he stay around? Does she get rid of him, or what? Where's this gonna go?
I don't want to play Fox versus Disney either, but like, shouldn't he be like? I know the X-Men have aged terribly thanks to really crappy timeline maneuvers that Fox did, where Michael Fassbender is the youngest looking Holocaust survivor I've ever seen in 1984. But like, shouldn't Evan Peters and Pietro Maximoff be like 75 years old in 2025? Right?
That's
well, he's already.
Factor.
It's not. It's. Well, I was gonna say it's not silver hair. It's just gray.
Right. Yeah.
But no. And this gets back to my the question I posed a little bit ago, because in addition to Pietro's name being dropped a lot in this episode, we do come up with this idea of, mommy, can you bring people back from the dead, kind of a deal. So I wonder if, again, the twins are somehow a sketch for bringing Vision back, and maybe somehow she has resurrected her dead brother. Even though he's alive in a different reality, he is dead in another reality. So maybe her desire to bring her brother back has pulled him from an alternate reality, and with him the rest of the Fox
right here we go.
She pulled them all out.
Door's open though. Door is open.
Literally.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It'll be really interesting to see where this goes.
E-Man, you look like you're really disappointed in me.
No, not at all. I mean, I was, there's nothing it's hard to say what direction they're even going in. I mean, is this multiverse, or is this reality manipulation, or is it, just a little bit of both? Like, it is reality, but for us, the audience, it's multiversing, in like a non-traditional literal way.
Right. This isn't the CW here, you know.
Yeah, like it's not like, no, this is intentionally a different, Earth 2, and you're just coming in. Like, no, like it's multiverse for us, but they're not saying it, but it's a different excuse.
And like Mark said in the comments, and this was a surprise to her. So,
and that's something I thought that was interesting, because especially of what Ian mentioned, she specifically was talking to the boys and saying like, not like, she had a whole lecture, a whole TV sitcom lecture about how like that's not something that we need to do. So I'm sitting here thinking like, wait, did you just give yourself self-therapy? Like that, which is interesting. Especially if she's grieving and stuff. Even though there might be some cognitive dissonance going on because we have a whole Vision walking around. But the fact that it happened and it was surprising, especially if and when she could have always done that. Right. She could have always brought Pietro. To be honest, I always expected Pietro to come back. I was looking for Aaron Taylor Thomas, but the fact that we got Evan Peters, now I'm sitting there like, did she do this?
Well,
Kevin Feige did.
Well, here let's walk this back a second. E-Man,
$80 billion did.
Yeah,
whatever they bought Fox for. Yeah.
E-Man, I think there's something in what you just said about Wanda possibly giving herself a bit of therapy when she's talking about bringing people back from the dead, and then like 5 minutes later, Pietro shows up. What if, much as we've seen Vision sort of popping out of the reality and beginning to question things, what if? And I mentioned earlier, there is that sort of gatekeeper version of Wanda that walked out into Westview to confront Sword. What if the Wanda that we're seeing in this sitcom reality, she started to become self-aware and give her a little bit of that therapy, as you call it, to say you can't bring people back, but the overriding consciousness that constructed this, because she's like, no, we're going to work on this. We're going to bring Vision back. She's now contradicting herself by making her dead brother show up to maybe silence that voice to say, no, this is going to work. That little doubting thing in the back of your head is not, we're not going to play that. We're going to make this work.
No, I'm with you. I think that there is a conscious versus subconscious thing going on.
Yeah.
Like it's just being physically presented to us in a much more literal sense, where she'll say she wants something, but then she'll be like, is this right? Like every time people break free, especially Vision, I think that's part of her subconscious being like,
it's slipping.
Is this right? Is this where we should be? Because I don't know how much autonomy Vision really has if he's a created being.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, we're going to save some theories and ideas, I think. And as Mark points out, she had that speech after she got her rage on with Sword. So, yes, that may lend credence to what we're talking about. Is she's slipping. She's having a tantrum. She's actually having to go out to the outside world because they are succeeding in intruding in what she's created for herself. She's not as secure as she thought. But we got to save some theories for next week, and who knows what we're going to be talking about next week, but we will be back same time, same channel, YouTube channel, that is. And if you like what you've seen here, please like this live stream, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to Kicking the Seat on YouTube. Please be sure and follow all of my lovely and talented colleagues here. Don Shanahan of 25 Years Later and Every Movie Has a Lesson, Emmanuel Noisette from Eman's Movie Reviews, and David Fowley of Keeping It Real. Also, Mark Krawczyk of the Spoiler Room. I'll be back live on Tuesday night talking about Demolition Man as part of his I Am the Law month. Yes, so check that out.
Maybe you'll find out how to use the toilet.
The 3 seashells.
I was going to say, I got to go collect some shells and get some Taco Bell to make it really fun. But anyway, thank you guys so much for this, joining me on this, again, lively WandaVision recap. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and those tuning in the future. And until next time, next Friday, I think that's it. So I bid everyone a farewell. And Don, I want to see you in a new costume next week. This has been amazing.
I'll see what I can do, fellas. See what I can do.
Peg Bundy. Wear your best Peg Bundy.
I'll get the tits out for that one. You